This one mistake is silently destroying YouTube channels. Everyone's chasing shorts views, but almost no one knows how to turn them into real growth. In this video, Nick Nimmin and I reveal the hidden principles that determine whether your content fuels a thriving audience or gets punished by the algorithm. And we're also going to teach you a strategy that top creators use to turn viral shorts into bingeable long-form content that prints subscribers and generates massive amounts of revenue. Let's get into it. Nick Nimmin, thank you very much. You've got one of those names. It's like it rolls, Nick Nimmin, and so it's hard to say just Nick without
Right.
saying Nimmin because it fits so well together. So thank you for having
And
a
it's a
good name.
palindrome. And it's a
Yeah,
palindrome on the back end. So we always joke with my mom saying she's a double palindrome if you do mom Nimmin, right?
yes,
So yeah, it just adds a little bit of fun, I guess.
yeah. No, that's awesome. That's that's hilarious. Okay, so I want to kick this off. What's the biggest missed opportunity right now on YouTube? What are people what are people where should people be focused on YouTube right now?
So one thing that I think is a missed opportunity right now on YouTube would be people thinking that, I mean, because it's all goal based. I mean, I guess, any path is kind of the right path, but I think that people devalue YouTube Shorts. So I think that there, is definitely a place for YouTube Shorts, and a lot of people look at a YouTube Short in terms of a direct, immediate, how much AdSense did I earn from this short when I publish it point of view, instead of how many additional people did this get me in front of? How many additional people was I able to share my message with? How many additional people was I able to help with this content that I published over in YouTube Shorts? If somebody enjoys my content over in YouTube Shorts and YouTube starts showing it to them on a regular basis, how could I possibly turn that person into a fan through continued exposure of value content from me, so that once I get that person with a nice handful of touch points, they'll be like, hey, this is pretty good stuff. I wonder what else they have. And then they'll go explore from there. So I think that people are just missing out on YouTube Shorts and or not missing out, but I just think they're devaluing YouTube Shorts, where you can use YouTube Shorts for a lot of different things. You have the shopping links on YouTube Shorts to where you can directly sell things, as an affiliate right there on screen. And somebody doesn't have to choose to watch it. They just have to choose to listen to it once you grab their attention. I think that when it comes to getting subscribers, if you are aggressive in YouTube Shorts, they definitely are great at growing your subscriber base. And they're just typically, not always, but they're typically easier content to make as well. And when it comes to, just being easier to make, I think it just helps keep you in motion. Like one of the things that I'm doing right now is because I've taken about the last 8 months to spend a decent amount of time learning how to use AI, and shout out to the conference that, that you guys are throwing, but using AI to build apps and little tools for myself and things like that. And one of the things that I'm doing right now, because I'm in the review process with Apple to, for it to actually get published. And one of the things that I'm in the process of doing, and I've already started doing for the last month, is publishing daily vertical content. And one of the things when it comes to that daily vertical content is that it's super easy to do daily vertical content. But when it comes to long form content, that can be quite the grind, because there's a lot more involved when it comes to making long form content. So I think that the advantage of making shorts is definitely something that people are devaluing and overlooking.
So I've always kind of had a love-hate relationship with shorts. And I think a lot of the reason that I did was because of the way that YouTube rolled it out and how they were like, hey, it's so safe for creators who have long form to do shorts on the same channel. And I mean, we saw a lot of
Oh
people
yeah.
who damaged their channel by trying to integrate shorts into their long form content, or into onto the same channels that they were doing longs on, and segment their audience. And so I've been kind of like always a little bit, I'd say, hesitant to do shorts on channels that have long form. What do you say? What are your thoughts around that? Do you have an opinion on that matter? Is it safe now in 2025? I mean, the shorts have been out for a few years, and they've rolled out some like integration best practices and things like that. But what are your thoughts on combining both shorts and long forms on the same channel?
These days, it's fine.
Yeah.
So it's fine, but only fine if you're trying to reach the same people. So, if you're misusing shorts in terms of, okay, I'm making this long form content over here that's targeting this particular audience, these people that are interested in, learning how to make cakes. And then over in shorts, I'm just going to use that as a vlog so that I can just share random things from my personal life. Then in that particular case, you're just dividing what it is that you're offering, which kind of pollutes everything it is that you're doing. So as long as you are in alignment there in terms of like, hey, I'm making content over here for people to want to know how to make cakes. And I'm also in YouTube Shorts providing content for people that, are into desserts and want to learn how to make cakes. Then in that particular case, I think, it's a perfect fit. You don't have anything to worry about. In addition to that, like you briefly touched on, YouTube has built the bridges, kind of in the middle to where we have the option now to add the related video. And most people, well, I can't say most people, but a lot of people, when they publish shorts, they publish shorts with the intention of getting somebody from that video to go over to their long form content because, again, they're devaluing shorts. So one of the advantages with shorts is that we do have that path directly back through the related video. And in addition to that, in YouTube's recommendation system, if they identify that you're watching a lot of shorts or engaging a lot with, a very particular channel, then they're also going to start recommending some of that long form content to you as well. So that's why it's so important to make sure that everything that you do on the platform is for a particular type of viewer that's interested in, very specific things that you're providing.
So basically, if there's continuity between the or congruency between the shorts and the longs, then you're safe. But if you're just out there randomly shooting your shot with shorts, trying to make something go viral on a channel that's all about auto mechanic work, then you're gonna end up kind of messy. I mean, in reality, if you create a YouTube channel with long form content and it's just a smattering of ideas, you're gonna end up kind of screwing yourself
Right.
on that channel regardless. So, okay. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of, I was very opinionated about shorts in the beginning, because I was so frustrated with YouTube, and I mean, you know how it is sometimes when they roll things out, they're like they hype it, and then you everybody starts to do it, and then it loses its luster, or ultimately it ends up like, "Hey, this maybe we should have, like, slowed down the rollout of this and and thought this through a little bit better." And I think shorts was one of those things because I feel like a lot of creators were like, "Oof, yeah, this really wasn't good, the way that they rolled it out." But yeah, I'm starting to see, like I'm even starting to see, like, YouTube, if there's something that's deviated, like, if you've created a short that's a little bit, deviated from, like, your core topic, then it doesn't have as high of a likelihood anymore of going viral anyway, just because on a different topic. So I think there's been some, like, maybe, throttling or just, like, I don't wanna say, suppressing, but I've noticed that even if there's a video that could perform really well, but it's not related to the core theme of the channel, it doesn't perform well because it's not related to the core theme of the channel. So I think that that's really helpful, in 2025. Whereas in 2022, anything, like, it was the Wild West with shorts, like, anything could go viral because they
Yeah.
were just trying to get it so much momentum. Hmm.
Another thing with shorts also is that,
Hey, if you're a business owner just like me, you're probably wondering, where are the leads going to come from? You're probably spending some money on Facebook. You're probably also doing some YouTube videos and some Instagram posts. After years of doing both in my business, I can definitively say that organic content on YouTube is the absolute best way to get leads. And the reason is because if you create content with the right strategy and you say the right things in your content, you can get views and you can get leads forever. One of the things that we do in every single one of our videos is use what's called a call to action. You guys are familiar with this term. Well, we have a couple dozen calls to actions that we use regularly in our content that keep leads flowing on autopilot. I get leads every single day from my YouTube videos. Some of these videos are years old and they're still driving leads. I have put all of my CTAs into this document. It's completely free. All you got to do is click right down here. I break down the psychology of why these CTAs work, and all you got to do is insert them into your scripts, and you'll start to see more leads and more revenue. Click right here. All right, let's get back to it.
because YouTube has put such an emphasis on shorts, it's extra discovery. So, again, back on the thing where people look at shorts and they're like, okay, I need to publish this short. And then out of this short, I need to make sure that X amount of people are coming over into my long form video. Like one of the interesting things about how YouTube has kind of I'm not going to say promoted, but just kind of shoved shorts in everybody's face is
Yeah.
that, it doesn't matter what surface of YouTube you're on, you're going to see shorts. So because of that, you have an opportunity there to get in front of somebody that may not ever have clicked on your long form content in terms of a first introduction. So, in addition to the shorts feed, right, to where you just pop up in front of somebody, then you also have where people, based on your title and or thumbnail for the short, where they can say, okay, yeah, this looks like something that I might be interested in. And then they can discover you as a creator there, regardless if they end up crossing over, to your long form content immediately or not. It's that extra opportunity that you give yourself to get in front of people that might not have ever discovered you. And in addition to that, when it comes to like longs versus shorts, one of the ways that I try to present this to the new creators that I make content for is that when it comes to long form content, you have all of these skills that you have to develop. You have to get good at all of these different things in order to make effective long form content. You got to get really good at making sure you're nailing the video topics. You got to get really good at making sure that you can capture people's attention with your thumbnail. You got to get really good at making compelling titles. Then once they click on that and then they get into the video, you got to get really good at holding people's attention for a considerable amount of time. And it's hard. However, when it comes to YouTube Shorts, you just pop up. Nobody has to choose to click on what it is that you're doing like they do with long form. So because of that, the only skill that you have to get really good at when it comes to YouTube Shorts is topic, it does still matter there, but just capturing people's attention when it first starts and then giving them a good experience there. And that experience doesn't have to be for as long of a time. So because of that, in terms of just being able to make something a little bit easier, and not have to develop all of the needed skills, you're playing two different games when it comes to the long form and the short form. But for new content creators, especially, it's a great way to practice the skill of grabbing people's attention, because then you can start to really quickly experiment with content that doesn't take much investment in terms of, okay, let me try this when it first starts. Let me try this when it first starts. Let me say these things. Let me show these things. And it just gives you more opportunities to quickly learn what people respond to, so that when you learn over here and then you start applying those things to your long form content, then it can also help you make that long form content better because of the skills that you've picked up over on the short side, without having to, if you want to perform on the long form side, you still have to develop those skills. But for newer content creators, being able to not have to learn how to write super compelling titles, not have to learn how to make thumbnails, it keeps you in motion, keeps you in making content. And with YouTube Shorts, they typically will get better views than long form content for somebody that doesn't know what it is that they're doing when it comes to making content. And because of that, it's encouragement, because you get to see progress, especially now that they've changed it to where they're showing impressions for views. If you don't realize what's going on there, like if you're not in the know on that, which a lot of new creators aren't, then in that particular case, you're seeing something that looks like real progress. Like, wow, when I publish this, I got 1,000 views on this. There might
Yeah.
be only 300 engaged views, but you still got 1,000 views on it from your perspective. So because of that, the encouragement to just keep going, since most creators that start channels quit, I think shorts is really valuable there too, because it just kind of keeps you in motion and keeps you doing the thing, and it also helps you maintain or see some type of progress in what it is that you're doing. Because if somebody that's new and doesn't really understand like the long-term aspect of being a content creator, they start publishing long form content, they're getting under 100 views on it, and they're thinking to themselves like, why am I wasting all this time? I just made like a 20-minute video, and this video took me 2 weeks, and I got 73 views on this. Like, what am I doing? Right. And you
The
start creating
worst.
all of this. Yeah. And you start creating all of this doubt. Right. But when you get some type of activity, like, wow, this one got like 300 views, then it just gives you that encouragement that you need to keep going. So I think when it comes to shorts, especially for new content creators, that there's that added benefit there of not having to, or basically getting progress while you're working on the skill sets for the long form content.
Yeah, so there's some, like, you make some really solid points and some really great and a really great case for shorts. One of the things that I think, that has kind of frustrated me as well with shorts is that the mentality of creating shorts content is completely different than the mentality of creating longs, in a sense of, with short form content, you have to always be creating. Just like with a Facebook post, if you want to stay relevant, you have to always be creating the daily grind. And the beauty of YouTube in 2015, 2014, really up to 2000, yeah, probably 2019, 2020, was that search and discovery would make your content evergreen. And I mean, we have our highest viewed video is 32 million views in long form video, and we still get thousands of views a year on that video. And I made it 11 years ago, and that was like, man, if you could get into the algorithm like that as a business owner with like driving leads on autopilot, that's amazing. But with shorts, everybody's like, "Yeah, shorts, shorts, shorts." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you guys, you're not gonna go evergreen with shorts."
Yeah.
And so that's always kind of been like one of my hangups. One of the things though you talked about was, extra discovery. And I wanted to ask you this, shorts are being shown everywhere, not just the short shelf, but they're showing them on the homepage, they're showing them in search. And do you feel like it's too much? 'Cause I'll go to search and I'll be like, "How to do XYZ," and it'll pull up a list of shorts. I'm like, "YouTube, what are you doing? I don't wanna
From the
see a short."
from the creator side, I
Yeah,
think that it's unfortunate, because like me, for example, I've got tons of search based content,
yeah,
and since I have search based content, when they start showing shorts in YouTube search, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be presented with an option. Okay, do I watch a 1 to 3 minute video on this? And if we're being realistic, it's probably a minute or less. So do I watch this minute video on this, or do I watch this 15-minute video on this this same exact thing that I'm trying to understand right now?
yeah,
As a viewer, I'm going for that minute, because what's a minute? If it's wrong and if I'm making the wrong choice, then I can back out and hop into this 15-minute video, but I'm just going to see if this 1 minute video gives me what I need. So because of that, it's kind of cannibalistic when it comes to long form content, unfortunately.
yeah.
However, uh, you can also get rankings with shorts content for search. So just like when it comes to long form content, if you're competing for a keyword and you want to own it, then you make long form content for it, maybe do some live streams about it, and then also make YouTube shorts about it so that you can just give yourself every possible shot to pop up in YouTube or Google, because they show shorts results as well, just like they do long form. So you're giving yourself these opportunities to, capture somebody's attention when they're looking for a specific term or topic. So because of that, I
That's
think
good.
there's a lot of value in that regard as well.
You're making a strong case, man. I might just jump on the shorts wagon here, 'cause I what you're saying is making sense. It's just yeah, it's just,
It's tough, man. Like, I'm
it's
right
so
there with
t
you. I
it's so
just
tough.
started.
Yeah.
So I publish shorts for, I don't know, I might have like 20 shorts on my channel. And then just recently I'm like, okay, we're gonna start dripping this up. So last week I published one. This week or sorry, last week I published one. I think it was the week before that I published one, and then I'm gonna be publishing like one or two this week. And because I have all this shorts content, or this vertical content I've made for all the other platforms for the daily content. So I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, I'm going to just start ramping this stuff up on my main channel as well. So what I'm doing is I'm paying attention to how people are responding to things on TikTok and Instagram, and then I'm going to find the videos that perform well there, and then those are going to go on the main channel. And then I have another channel that the whole entire YouTube channel is repurposed content. So I use Opus Clip, and
Ah,
then I basically take my live streams, because my brother D and I, we have a live stream every Saturday where we stream for 3 hours. So it's
wow.
foolish of me not to use that content in other ways. If
Of
even if
course.
that means that it's only people seeing my face and they hear me keep talking about YouTube, if it's only that, so when they get recommended a piece of long form content that has my face on it, so that they're like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that dude in YouTube Shorts, he shared some good information there. So what I do is I use Opus Clip to repurpose content to a completely different channel, and then I just flood that channel with shorts every day, just as a complete standalone channel to just keep getting my face in front of people. So when it comes to shorts on my main channel, I've, just like you, man, I've been timid with it,
Mhm.
and I'm in the process right now of turning up the heat on YouTube Shorts. So you can pay attention to my channel before you make the move, right? Just be like, hey, let's see what's happening over there, and see if it's causing an impact or not. But yeah, like, I'm ramping that up myself right now.
One of the things, and maybe you can shed some light, add some clarity to this, but one of the things that I've kind of noticed with shorts is that specifically with longs, when you make a video and it bombs, it seems to have an effect on the next few videos that you produce, right? Because if you have a whole bunch of subscribers that aren't engaged with this piece of content, then stands to reason that the YouTube algorithm for the next video is going to show your video to fewer of those subscribers because they weren't as engaged with the last piece of content. And so, for example, if you have a viral video, does really, really well and as a long form, your next video has a high likelihood of doing well because everybody who engaged with that is now going to see this next piece. So they're like, hey, YouTube algorithms like, okay, a lot of people engaged, they left comments, they watched this, they're going to like this creator, so let's show them another piece of content from that creator. What I'm noticing with shorts is that it doesn't necessarily the past performance of a short doesn't necessarily indicate what the potential is of the next short. So you could have a short bomb today, and the next video could just be a banger out of the gate. They're going to show it to. I mean, there's so many people that are just swiping that they're gonna show it to a batch of 200-300 people anyway, and the individual perform or the performance of that individual piece of content is going to be what determines its success. So my point in saying this is that I feel like there's almost an equal opportunity for anything to go viral or anything to do really, really well if you figure out what format works for your content, and it doesn't necessarily have a negative impact if it doesn't do well.
Yeah, you can
What are your
definitely
thoughts on
have
that?
yeah, you can definitely have a winner and then a loser, then a winner, then a loser, then a winner, then a loser. Yeah, without question. And when it comes to the long form content, one of the reasons that that happens, it's not necessarily that you're being penalized in any way by YouTube's system. It's more that if you have a video, like let's say that you average, say 50,000 views a video, and that amount of people plus your archive are recently interacting with that content, but you stay within that range, right? With your average view counts on your videos. Then
Yeah.
in that particular case, the amount of people that are recently interacting with your channel is going to stay relatively close to the same. And then if you have a breakout video, let's say that you 10x that, then you're going to have this whole additional group of people to where you're in their recent view history. So because of that, the next video that you publish with that particular video, they're going to test it against more people because there's a lot more people that have interacted with you recently. However, if those people respond well to it, then you do have that other chance. But if they don't, then in that case, that video is probably still going to do better as long as it's okay, but it's not going to just perform as well within the system. Now, within the next video, right? Because you might look at that as a video that was a dud or just one that didn't land, right? Because it just didn't, they just didn't connect with it as much. But then when you publish that next one, the problem isn't necessarily that you're being punished in some way. It's more that you don't have that large amount of recency anymore. So some of the
Yeah.
people that have, watched that big video that you had, some of them, have watched other videos of yours. Some of them haven't. Some of them have moved on to other stuff. Some of them, they just don't respond, to that next one based on, the decisions that you make around the content and things like that. And it's more about the recency in terms of the volume of people going out for those initial pushes than it is necessarily being penalized for the video that doesn't do well. Right after the banger, so to speak. So it's more about that. I mean, it's semantics really, because we're basically saying the same thing. I'm just getting technical with it,
Yeah.
but it happens more. But it's more about the recency than it is like a penalty from YouTube system, right? But for shorts though, like the awesome thing, like you're saying, is that you can just take swings.
Yeah.
Right. You can just sit there and just swing all day long. And, you might have a banger and then one, fails, and then you have a banger. And the advantage, like, I don't know how what your viewer habits are, but I know for me, like if I'm watching shorts and I find a creator, and this is where the momentum side of shorts comes in. If I see a creator, like let's say I run across one of your videos and I'm like, oh man, Scott's dropping some fire here. And then I just move on, right? I'm like, okay, yeah, I see your face, hear what it is that you're saying to me. I'm like, oh, yeah, I got some value here. Maybe I like it, whatever. And then I move on. 2 days later, you publish another short. YouTube's like, hey, check this out. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember this guy. So, I sit there and I give you a little bit of extra time, on whatever it is that you're saying. And I'm like, oh, yeah, another good video. And that keeps happening. And then I start to depend on you as a content creator to where it's like every time I see your face, I'm stopping. There's a really good chance that what you're saying, I know because of the history that I've had with you as a viewer, I know that what you're getting ready to say to me is probably going to add value to me in some way. Therefore, I'm going to give this content, a little bit more time. So I think that when it comes to YouTube Shorts, is a really valuable aspect of Shorts. I'm dealing with somebody right now that they are doing these experiments in Shorts, and it's like a 2 video experiment, sometimes a 3 video experiment. And they're like, well, this didn't work, so I'm going to move on and just do something else. And I'm like, no, you gotta keep showing up, keep delivering that same value for a little
And
bit so that you can create that momentum where people can keep seeing you and keep depending on you over and over again, because every time you show up, they're getting some type of value out of what it is that you're doing. So when you do start publishing Shorts, just keep that in mind, as well, just for anybody that's listening. Keep that in mind as well when it comes to that momentum that you can pick up just based on the value that people get out of your content.
I think that the value of YouTube or social media over, a traditional television or something like that is that you always have another at bat. And
Mm.
I think a lot of creators misunderstand this, and like they'll create a piece of content, it'll bomb, and they'll be like, "Ah, I suck." And it's like, no, you just haven't iterated enough. Like this is a consistency game. And the more you try, the more you will learn what your audience wants. Austin Armstrong, my business partner in AI marketing world, he'll say like, I will outlast anybody at any of these games. I'm just a consistency freak. And he started he came to Video Marketing World in 2019. He had like 0 followers. He listened to what everybody had to say. He went home, integrated, and just for years he grinded. And he eventually got to the point where now he's got millions of followers across social media and is absolutely crushing it because he just stayed consistent. He just posted every single day. And so I think that that is a huge piece of advice that I think people should take very seriously is just stay consistent. If you only stay consistent, and I guess consistency also is not just in like creating content and expecting like, hey, I'm going to create the same piece of content every single day, and it's just someday it's going to work. It's paying attention to what your audience wants and how they're engaging and what they're commenting on and serving more of that. So you have to get better, but yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just keep grinding, just keep going.
Yeah, without question. Shout out to Austin, by the way. But yeah, that's yeah. I think that in general, content creators don't give themselves enough time for things.
Yeah.
Like people, like I don't want to derail the conversation, but I think that when it comes to somebody starting a YouTube channel or somebody pivoting or somebody experimenting with things, I think people just don't give things enough time, because all of us, and I think it's
Yeah.
just our human nature, right? Like I want to go into the gym and work out one time and walk out and be like, all right, there we go, done, right? But in reality, those types of things, learning how to do anything takes time. And when it comes to, starting a channel and having to go through those painful times of, publishing a bunch of content and spending all that time making content, and if it's not working out yet, just realizing like, hey, I'm in a learning curve right here. And if I'm not getting the results that I'm after or that I'm satisfied with, then that means that there's more that I need to figure out here. There's more stuff I have to learn. There's more skills that I need to develop. And instead of waiting, or instead of being in a hurry to do everything, kind of sit back and instead of being in a hurry, be intentional with what it is that you're doing, because that intentionality in the experiments and those types of things, those are going to get you farther than being in a hurry. Right. So
Yeah.
you can publish daily videos like Austin's doing. And when you are doing that sort of thing, it gives you the opportunity to experiment with every single video that you upload. Okay, this video I'm trying this video I'm trying this video I'm trying this. This is starting to work. So let me do like the next 10 videos like this. And Austin is going to learn more over the course of a week publishing to all of these different platforms every day. He's going to learn more over the course of a week than most content creators are going to learn over a month, just because he's publishing, he's always on it. And because of that, not only does that help him in terms of understanding the platforms, but what that does for his brand is just, I mean, it's gigantic. So, just being patient with yourself and being patient with the process and understanding that all these things take a long time. They're not, they don't have to take a long time, but for most people, it takes time to get going. And just being patient with that particular process, I think, is something that people need to embrace more. But it seems like everybody's just in a hurry. And it's unfortunate, I think.
Yeah, and to your point, I think a lot of people are also like, I'm gonna create, I'm gonna spend a lot of time creating a piece of content, and then I'm gonna post it, and then I'm gonna wait 4 days to post my next one. And to your point about Austin, like, if you are creating daily pieces of content, you're iterating daily, you're looking at the content, how it performed yesterday, "Okay, I'm gonna make another piece today." You're even though you might have more fails, you are going to learn more. I actually talk about this a lot in on my business channel in entrepreneurship. It's like I try to experiment as often as possible so I can fail as fast as possible so I can gain that knowledge from that failure and then I can integrate that into my skill stack, right? And now all of a sudden, if I have failed 100 times in the last, 15 years and the average person fails once or tries something once every 3 years, man, I'm gonna just mop the floor with them every single time because I've gained so much knowledge over the course of those 15 years as
You
opposed to
know,
the
a
person
hundred
who's
ways not to do the
yeah,
thing,
I've heard that
right? Like,
before.
yeah, it's huge,
Yeah,
right?
it's something about Thomas Edison and the light bulb. But yeah, man,
Yeah,
I mean,
right,
it's,
right.
exactly, like, I know all the ways not to do something, and that's exactly the approach that you have to bring to content. One of the things you brought up a couple minutes ago that I wanted to touch on, and I wasn't able to weave it in then, but you talked about this, was having your shorts kind of be like trial runs for what you can do in your long form content. We actually had a client of ours, his name's Aaron Dowdy. He's got a big YouTube channel in the personal development space. And one of the strategies that he would take is create shorts or reels on Instagram. And if they went viral on Instagram, then he would bring them over and create additional pieces of content or more depth content about that same topic on his YouTube channel. But not only that, but he would start the video with the viral short as his hook.
Nice.
And what we were seeing when he would do that was like these videos would crush because they would get multiple millions of views on reels, and then we would immediately start that as the hook of a long form content, and then he would go into depth after that. And so people were super engaged for the first minute of that video, and then it would drop off a little bit, but they would crush because it was already tested, like people wanted it. So I think that there's a little bit of a strategy there that I think people can use that however they want to, but it's, something that has worked really well for some of our top tier creators and, that they can use as well. I know Hermosi will do the same thing with, like, tweets. He'll
Yeah,
tweet out,
I was thinking to jump in and mention that. Yeah, he does the same exact thing. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and the other thing with guys like Hermosi is they're posting, like, 3 to 5 shorts every single day, and so, again, at bats, they're just getting them all the time and seeing what's popping, and then, "Okay, everybody likes this, well, I'm gonna do more of that." Whereas traditionally, you and I, being kind of old school YouTubers, are traditionally, it would be like, "Okay, I'm gonna create, 6 pieces of content this month,
Mhm.
and maybe 1 will take off, and then I'll double down on that, but I won't know for a month," right? And
Right.
now it's like you produce 5 shorts a day, you're gonna have something that takes off, and you're gonna get that feedback loop way faster than you will if you're just producing longs. So, yeah,
Yeah,
good
without
stuff, man.
question. Yeah, I think Alex Harmozy, I think he mentioned that he does like either it's 300 or a minimum of 300 per month in terms of, or sorry, per week for pieces of content,
Jeez.
which is pretty incredible.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, you have to have a machine in order to do that. We've got a full staff of editors, and grind out I can barely grind out, like, a daily piece of content.
Mm,
But, it's everybody's got their systems.
sure.
Everybody's got their systems. Alright, let's talk AI. Um, Obviously, AI slop is a huge problem, I'm seeing on YouTube. What are your thoughts on AI slop? Where is YouTube going with, AI in the future? How is AI gonna impact creators? Let's jump into this topic.
So when it comes to AI slop, as a creative, totally. Yeah, it's slop. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters when it comes to any of this stuff is how do people respond to it.
Yeah.
And if people are responding well to it, then it's going to take attention away from creators that are, making content, the good old fashioned way. So because of that, I think that it's just going to increase the amount of things that we are competing with. I think that some content types are I think there's a little bit of a threat when it comes to AI just in general in terms of some content types. Like, for example, I make educational content, and I would be lying if I said that I wasn't concerned about the next, 5 to 10 years based on me personally using Chat GPT to, be like a starting point for solving simple problems that I would typically go to YouTube for. So because of that, I think that some types of content are I think there's a threat, kind of on the horizon. But when it comes to the content that's being put out there, yeah, man, if people are responding to it, then we can't say anything about it. Like I was at my mom's, so I went over there for a conference and was hanging out with my mom,
Where she live?
and she's in Arizona.
There's okay, okay.
Yeah, so I was hanging out with her, and I noticed that she was on her phone and she was watching videos. And I started paying a little bit of attention just because, like that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
So she's watching videos and I'm like, oh, I wonder what she's watching. Just trying to pick up, her habits a little bit, just kind of see how she's interacting with content. And I start hearing like video after video with AI voices, AI voice, AI voice, AI voice. And I'm like, oh my God. Like 9 out of 10 of these videos that she's watching are like Adam, right? You know the 11
Yeah.
voice, the 11 Labs voice Adam. Yeah, I'm like
Yep.
I'm like 9 out of 10 of these videos are Adam or some other really obvious AI voice, and my mom's all in. And I'm like, okay, well she's older, so so it's probably maybe it's just that demographic they just don't know or whatever. But when you see the view counts on some of these videos, it's like, man, there's either a lot of people in that demographic or there's a lot of people having that same experience where they either don't care or they just don't realize that it's AI content. So because of that, I think that the pool of competition, it's definitely going to just continue to increase because people are responding to it. As
Yeah.
a creator, it sucks, right? Because they're taking part of the market share. But just like everything else, nothing, like you can't really depend on anything necessarily forever. Everything is in a constant state of evolution, which is something that's kind of the only thing that you can count on. But when it comes to AI, I think that as creatives and creators, I think that we have to try to find ways, and I'm honestly not sure what those ways are yet, but find ways to create even deeper connections with our viewers to where when they are looking for things, they trust us so much that they are going to come to us for it versus, just opening up an AI tool and using that. But, I'm really not sure how that's going to go, 5 to 10 years into the future. It's tough, man.
Yeah.
You can hear me. You can hear in my voice. I'm kind of like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, not really sure.
I spend a lot of time talking about this, thinking about this on my business channel, and, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity right now,
Mhm.
but is all of that opportunity just going to disappear 3, 5 years from now when AI like, I'm talking like, okay, there's a lot of opportunity for AI side hustles right now,
Yeah.
but a lot of that requires like education. A lot of that requires specialized knowledge that as soon as we create a custom GPT with all of our specialized knowledge, now OpenAI has access to all of our specialized knowledge. Is this going to integrate into the main system? And then all of our knowledge, all of our expertise is just going to be distributed or available to the general public because we've given OpenAI access to all of these things. I'm very nervous for what AI looks like 5 to 10 years down the road. I genuinely am.
Me too.
What is your wildest prediction with artificial intelligence? Not just with content, but just in general. Where do you think we're gonna be 15, 20 years down the road?
So when it comes to AI in general, I think that we're going to be living wildly different lives 15 to 20 years from now.
Yeah,
Um, so for the past 8 months, I've been using ChatGPT to help me, not ChatGPT, but ChatGPT and Claude and Cursor to help me create and learn how to create apps. So what I'm
yeah,
doing is I have one that helps me with planning, and then Claude usually helps me code. And then I'll drop that code back into Chat GPT or a different instance of Claude, and I'll have it explain to me kind of what's happening and, all that stuff. And I'm using it as an educational experience too, so I can be able to identify things. So I've gotten pretty good at that. And, I can like hand code some stuff now and, things like that. But in reality, I don't think I'll have to. I don't think any of that even matters, but I'm doing it anyway for my own, so I can feel better about doing it.
Yeah.
But I've used it to, I have one app that's currently in the App Store, and I built that particular one just to see if I could do it and to understand the process, of actually putting it together. It's pretty basic. It's like a keyboard shortcut app, but it's called Creator Keyboard, by the way, if you want to check it out. It's for iOS only.
Cool.
But I've also built, and I'm in the process right now, going through the review process with Apple, and it should be out, probably for the next couple weeks. But basically, with that particular one, since I was like, okay, I learned the process. Now let's see what we can do. So I built another one that is extremely complex. It's got tons of different tools in it. It's got some AI features in terms of, I sent you a screenshot actually of one of the thumbnail reports. And, it has just really complex content calendar and, reminders and all this stuff. And if it wasn't for AI, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And over the last 8 months, I can visibly see, just through the experience, the code is less buggy now than when I first started. When I put in a prompt, I've also learned how to prompt better, as well. But when I put in a prompt, the output, I can depend on that output at a higher rate. It doesn't always nail it, but I can depend on it at a higher rate, and it can flush out more things faster.
Yeah.
So in addition to being more accurate, it's also increasing the speed in which I can put things together. And I think that that's just going to exponentially grow to a point to where anything that we need. I just did this the other day. I was like, okay, I've been logging into streaming software. So basically with my live streaming setup here, I've got my camera here. I've got like a little monitor here, but it's from the ATEM. So I've got like all these different windows and stuff. And I don't really have like a big monitor. So I'm like, okay, I log into these streaming services in order to just do a quick check and just see how everything looks, make sure I'm, centered right and all that stuff, because this camera, it's kind of far away. So the window's small. So I'm like, okay, let me hop into Claude and say, hey, I need a WordPress plugin that allows me to do, basically allows me to preview my camera, allows me to select the camera, check my audio levels, so on and so forth. And I just built out the prompt for it. First try, uploaded it to my WordPress website, and it worked perfectly on the first swing. I built another one for myself. It's just like an internal tool. So when I go into YouTube Analytics, I have these very specific things that I go to in order to just check progress on videos and stuff. So basically, I had it build a toolbar for me. I'm like, okay, I need it here. I need it to go to these specific pages inside of YouTube Analytics on each video, like in each video area. And basically, it auto updates. So if I click on it, regardless of what video that I'm actually in at that moment, it just takes me straight to those pages, my analytics and those types of things. Same exact thing, one swing. And it got it right. So in terms of, how those things are going to play out in the future, like I believe that we're going to, in the very near future, like we're on the cusp of it now, but I think that we are going to get it to the point to where you'll be able to just type in whatever it is that you want. It'll be able to give you a finished product. You might have to do some minor changes to it, but then you'll be able to make anything you want for anything that you're trying to do within reason, right? And like you can kind of do that now, depending on what it is that you're making. Like there's people that have videos out like, I made this app in like 3 minutes and stuff, but they probably haven't actually published them in the app stores and went through the review processes. Some have, but a lot of people are just making like the foundations, but nothing really cool. But the capabilities of it, I think, are just going to be unlimited when it comes to being able to just make useful stuff for ourselves and others. So I think that's great. When it comes to people's jobs, man, I'm glad I don't have a job, right? Because like seriously, like, if I had like a job, oh my God, I'd be terrified right now, because I would be like, oh, great. So I've spent, I'm in my late 40s. So I'm like, okay, I've spent 40 years building up this career. And then now we're going to have this, computer, essentially. It's going to come in and make me obsolete if it hadn't already. So, those types of things I think are also concerning in terms of what it might do to the general population. And on the positive side, because there's, those types of negatives, but on the positive side, I think that we have an opportunity. I just really hope that this is handled in the right way. But I think we also have a really great opportunity when it comes to making life easier for people. and making things just, making, income easier for people and making life just in general easier for people and being able to use that technology to solve problems that we just haven't been able to figure out yet. I think that there's going to be a lot of advantages there. I mean, it's already happening. Like it's, solving math problems that were unsolvable previously and making scientific breakthroughs and all these other like crazy things. So I think that as all of that continues to just get better and better, I think we're going to solve some really serious problems. I just hope that the solutions that are given to us are deployed in ways that are beneficial to humanity at scale,
And
for lack of a
don't
better
make
way
us
to kind of
obsolete
explain
in the
that.
process, right?
Right.
It's like what I'm, I was talking to my father-in-law who was talking to his plumber a couple days ago about artificial intelligence, and the plumber was like, "Yeah, 5, 10 years from now, these Optimus robots are going to be able to do my job." And I don't see that as being fear-mongering. I actually think that that's a possibility
Yeah.
now. I'm
Yeah.
seeing what is coming out on the horizon. I'm seeing a lot of these, like, robotics, this new technology, these robots that are going to live in home, and they're gonna go with you to the grocery store, and they're gonna push your cart and carry your bags and mow your lawn, fold your laundry. I'm seeing all of this stuff in this tech, and we're right now, it's the worst that it will ever be.
Yeah.
It 10 years from, and it's happening all at this, like, exponential rate. And, I asked Grok the other day, I was like, "What's a prediction for 25 years from now? What are humans going to be doing? How they're going to integrate into this world that is mostly controlled by robotics and artificial intelligence?" And the response that it gave me was that we, as humans, will be focused almost exclusively on creative things, or things that are, um what else did it say? It was, spiritual, creativity. I think we're kind of in this, like, right at the base of the mountain here, where we're going to experience peak creativity, or we're going to just be on this exponential creative path for humanity over the course of the next 25 years too. I think that
I don't think that's
all.
going to happen.
No?
No, the reason I don't think that's going to happen is because what do they say? There's a saying for this, and like an idle mind is the devil's playground. I think is how it's said.
Yeah,
So I think that absolutely, like people that love to make stuff, they're still going to make stuff.
yeah,
I think that if the need to generate income was removed,
yeah,
then every single person that created stuff would be creating things for a different reason other than income, which would make all of that, more meaningful for every person that was making stuff. So because of that, I think
100%.
there's a win there.
Yeah,
But I think there is a large set of the population, or a large group of the population, that is like, I don't have to do anything. So I'm just going to watch Netflix and I'm going to play PlayStation all the time.
probably a
And
majority.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's a pretty big group that's going to be like, okay, since I don't have to survive, because all that's taken
yeah,
care of now, I'm just going to not do anything. And I
yeah.
think that there's massive negatives for that, but then I think we'll also kind of fall back on just basic fundamentals of, if you're out there making stuff and doing things that fulfill you, you're going to have a good, healthy, mind state, and your mental health is going to be great. And you're going to be able to use all these tools in ways that are just going to kind of amplify who you are. Even if it's to yourself, you're going to be able to just be who you are. And then I think for others, it's going to cause a depression epidemic, and it's going to cause or amplify the drug epidemic, and it's going to, you know, like if people don't have to go to work, then couples will be around each other all the time. And I know
Yeah,
that during the pandemic, that was a problem for, some people. Other people loved it. I loved it. I thought it
yeah,
was great. But there were, more reports of domestic abuse and, those types
yeah,
of things as well.
yeah,
So
drug
I
use, yeah,
think that,
mhm,
there's definitely two sides to it. So I think, just like everything else, you walk out in the rain and you get wet and you're like, wow, this is great. It's raining. This was wonderful. It feels great. Or you walk out in the rain, you're like, oh my gosh, this sucks. It ruined my shirt. Now my hair is all messed up and all that stuff. So I think the future and how, humans are going to navigate it are going to be if you are, which side of that story that you're on in terms of, do you look at things in a positive way and try to take advantage of the opportunities that you have, and you just focus on like really enjoying your life? Or are you somebody that's prone to negative things? Because I think social media, like, the less that people have to do in real life, the more time they're going to spend, because all these companies have gotten so good at it, the more time they're going to spend in front of their phones. I mean, if phones even exist, 25 years from now, but, they're going to spend more time consuming content and, those types of things, which I think will also cause more radicals and, that kind of stuff as well. So I think there's definitely good sides, to it. But I think that there's also a really dark side
I
as
think
well that needs to be acknowledged sometimes.
my thought is, and I absolutely 100% agree. And I think that, I mean, if we're going to get like deeply philosophical or esoteric, even in like take it down like these wild what if potentials, there, I mean, there will be a case made for um, you know, why labor will still be important, and so I think that even though we may not need it, almost like how the government, dig a hole here, fill it. Oh, one party, one group digs a hole, the other group fills it, another group digs a hole, another group fills it, just for the sake of having something to do. But I also think that, I mean, I could see us 25 years from now fully integrated into a virtual reality in a lot of cases. Ready Player One, like people throw on their headsets to escape reality and travel the universe, whatever has been created for us to explore and experiment with. I saw somebody was talking about this. It may have been a thread, or I don't think it was an article that I read, but how gamers actually when they are playing, like a game like Minecraft and they can just explore, it triggers the brain the same way that the brain is triggered when we take vacations, and
Hmm.
so there's this, like, relaxation effect that takes place, when you're just able to go and explore, and so if a world is created by a virtual reality, you can just plug into that world and just go explore. I mean, that's something to do as well. Like, people will be I mean, I could see people just, like, again, throwing their headset on and just losing themselves into a virtual reality sim,
And at
and
that
that's
time, it'll be
also a scary
customized.
thought. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Because then it's not you're joining a world specifically. It's like, hey,
right.
oh, hey, it's you again. Hey, welcome back. Here, let's create this, this endless universe for you to go explore. Yeah,
Yeah.
based on the things that you like. And hey, here's some ads along the way. By the
Yeah,
way, while you're on your spaceship flying past whatever planet it is, in your virtual headset,
yeah.
here's a little, ad for you on the dashboard. So yeah, that's going to be definitely going to be interesting,
It's like an episode of Black Mirror, man.
right?
So that's wild. No, no, I love going down this thought process though, because yeah, we don't know, and
Yeah.
we literally live we're at the beginning of a revolution, and
Yes.
like the industrial revolution, like, transformed the world. This is gonna transform the
It already is.
universe. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah,
already doing that. Yeah. Let
yeah,
me ask you this, Scott. So if
yeah.
you have the option, if tomorrow, if one of the companies that are making the robots are like, okay, you can get a robot starting today for $35,000.
Yeah,
Are you
I'm in.
like on that list? Are you in?
I'm in, I'm in.
Yeah, me
My
too.
wife is not in, so,
Mm,
it's probably gonna be a few years before I can convince her that, and then
okay.
I'd have to take her to, like, a trade show where I showed it folding laundry. Or send her just keep seeding the videos. I'm like, "Look, it'll fold the laundry. It'll
Right.
take this burden away from you." I'm 100% in. Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I'm
I'm
the
I'm
same.
fully embracing it, and the reason that I embrace all of this is because I feel like if you don't, you're gonna get left behind.
Yeah.
It's like the people who refused to jump on Facebook, and they kept wanting to do their advertising through the Yellow Pages, and then all of a sudden, Yellow Pages and the Money Mailer and all of these old school ways of marketing your business just kinda disappeared and fizzled out and were replaced by online advertising. And a lot of these people went out of business or they saw massive slowdowns because they didn't embrace it. And my mentality is like, "No, I'm jumping all in because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to spot the opportunities that are coming from using this technology. So
Yeah.
I gotta be 100% in, you know? How
Yeah, I'm the
about
same
you?
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
same way, 100%. Yeah, like I'm making apps and stuff for it, making all these little tools for myself. Like if I have an idea about something, D and I. So
Yeah.
we're in the my brother D, he also makes content for YouTube. And we today met up and we're, working on some course ideas and things like that. And we're like, hey, let's pull up Chat GPT. Here's all of our ideas. Let's drop these in here and just ask Chat GPT if there's like, anything that, they think that would add value here. And then ChatGPT comes up with all these extra ideas that we were both like, oh yeah, God, I can't believe I didn't think of that, right?
Yeah.
And just using it as an assistant, even in that way. When my wife and I, she's Thai, I'm from the U.S., and my Thai isn't fantastic, but it's good enough to where I can navigate. Her English isn't that great, but she's getting better. But we can also tell Chat GPT in voice mode that, hey, we're getting ready to have a conversation. She speaks in Thai, I speak in English. So what I need you to do is when we are talking, anything that is said in Thai, please translate it into English, and then anything said in Thai, please pause and then translate it into English. Anything that's said in English, please pause and then translate it back into Thai. And we can literally just sit the phone on the table and we can talk back and forth. It's slow, but we can talk back and forth. Like if we're having trouble with something or getting, trying to get an idea, to one another, then we can just set that on the table and go back and forth until we figure it out. So it's even good for that sort of thing.
Wow.
Because I live in Thailand, I'll take the video mode and I'll go into the store. And if I'm looking for something specific, because a lot of the labels are in Thai in some of the stores, so I'm just holding it up. Okay, what about this? Nope, that's not it. Hey, here's the shelf. Do you see it on this shelf? Yeah, it's on the bottom shelf. Great. Is it this one or this one? And it's just helping me navigate those types of things as well. So in terms of just the utility side, it's just incredible. And then as this stuff keeps being applied to work, like right now, for example, I'm trying to just ramp up the content that I'm publishing in general. And I've even been working with it there. Right. And it's like, okay, yeah. So you can use like services like make.com and N8N and all these things to kind of help you automate some of these things. And I'm going in there and it's like teaching me step by step how to put together these workflows. In the app that I built, part of that app is keeping content creators up to date with everything that's happening on YouTube. So it's putting like news and relevant content to creators, like right on the homepage when they log in. And it's I'm like, hey, I'm trying to find an efficient way to do this because I don't want to have to manually go in, grab videos, go to my website, log in, do all that. So I made an automation over there to where it's monitoring YouTube channels. And then when those YouTube channels publish videos into specific playlists, it automatically pulls those out and then puts them right into my app. So that little task by itself, one, removed the pressure from me to make sure that I'm, there when things are published. Two, it's also saved me time in terms of making sure that those, I mean, it's already in motion, but the app isn't out yet. But basically, it saved me time, future time in having to go through that particular process. So everything, is getting easier based on just being able to have that direct feedback on things. So yeah, I think it's just going to keep getting better and more awesome. I just hope that in terms of people's jobs and things like that, as it starts taking more and more jobs and putting more and more people out of work, I just hope that there are solutions for people so that it doesn't, kind of put people out and put people in worse situations. Because with technology like this, like we have a real chance here, to
Yeah.
really fix a lot of problems, that we have. And I hope that it's used responsibly by governments and everything so that we can actually fix those problems instead of only fixing those problems, for profit and, those sorts of things.
I love, everything you just said. I think the thing that stood out to me the most was the way you communicate with your wife.
Mm,
It's amazing to think that we live in a generation where we don't have to be able to speak the same language in order to have deep connection and communication. And the technology for translation and real-time translation is just gonna get better and better and faster to the point where when we hear it, it's translated into our earbuds, and we're hearing what they're saying. They're speaking a different language, and it's translated almost immediately, and we can have conversation that way. You just think about, the connections that we'll be able to make having a technology that basically equates to a universal language,
mhm.
and that is absolutely groundbreaking. That's
So
fascinating.
earbuds already exist. So
Yeah.
they
Oh, do
already
they?
sell
Okay.
earbuds. Yeah. So they already
Yeah.
sell earbuds that do the instant translations. You can get those here
Wow.
at the mall.
Yeah.
You can get them on Amazon to where they already have that technology. Think about that in terms of travel. So one of
Yeah.
the things when it comes to travel that keeps people from traveling is they're afraid. Like, what if I land and I don't know the language? What if I land and I have a problem of some kind and I can't get help because I don't speak the language? Like, it's even going to remove that and give people, the
Mhm.
comfort and or the security, the mental confidence. There we go. The confidence to travel more and explore more because they're gonna have that same exact thing with the video side.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you are okay, let's say that you are a young guy or even an old guy, and you haven't had much experience with food. Well, you can use this technology already to go to the store and be like, "Hey, does this look ripe? Here, is videos. Does this look
Yeah.
ripe to you? Hey, here's my refrigerator. Here's all the things I have in my refrigerator. What can I make out of this stuff?" And like it'll put together, plans for you. Like it's just incredible in terms of the the value that is already being added to people from this. What I'm excited for is education. So I don't have kids at the moment, but I think when it comes to education, I think this is just going to be huge. I saw something,
Yeah.
and because of the internet, I don't know if this is true or even happening, but I saw something where it says, or where they said that they are currently testing AI for education in some school. I think it was in Texas, and
Yep.
with that
It
particular
is.
school, oh, that is happening. Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, with that, they are doing AI education, I think, for 2 hours per day. And
Yep.
then they are teaching people life skills for the rest of the time, or kids life
Yeah.
skills for the rest of the time. And the kids that are doing the AI schooling for that 2 hours, they're already beating like everybody else and all the other school
By
systems in
a
that area.
huge multiple. By
Yeah,
a
yeah,
huge, yeah, it's like
smashing them
their
all.
test
Yeah.
scores through the roof.
Hmm.
And I actually made a video about this on my business channel the
Oh,
other day. Uh, I got ripped to shreds by people who are like, "I will never have AI. This is horrible, horrible take. AI is never gonna replace education." I was like, "You guys are like, your head is in the sand. If
yeah,
you don't embrace and if you don't see the benefit of this and you don't embrace this, your kids are going to get left behind because they're going to be taught by somebody who is less qualified than universal artificial intelligence." By the way, I brought these out real quick because these are those Meta glasses, and, and I think that wearables are going to be I think there's a strong case to be made that wearables are gonna replace phones here soon, or at least maybe not fully replace, but definitely, complement, because I can walk into a store with these and I can say, "What am I looking at?" Or, "Can you translate this?" And it will do that. And I have access to the internet just right here at my again, I don't like wearing things on my face that have to do with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth just
sure.
simply because there's those
Hmm.
the little bits of radiation that comes from that. But still, like that tech, yeah, and just being able to like wear those into an airport and say, okay, what did they just say? Yeah, massively beneficial, massively beneficial.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
Um,
it all though.
oh,
No matter
yeah,
what way it
I'm all
goes,
in.
like you mentioned before, I think we're at such a pivotal time that either way it goes, it's going to be interesting. I'm just crossing my fingers in terms of some of the problems that it's going to cause. I hope that it's also being used to fix some of the problems that it's going to cause, so that everybody on the planet can live better lives, have to worry about less, have to not worry about food security and financial security and all those things that keep people up at night, so that people can just spend time with their families, spend time with people that they care about, spend more time with their kids, so that you don't
Yeah.
have people that have kids that are like, oh hey, yeah, I had kids, but I've been working 40 hours a week and plus all this other stuff, so the time has just flown by, right? So hoping that it'll help solve that for people in the future and all of that. Yeah, like my hopes are high. They really are for how this might go.
So yeah, two things, and then I want to wrap this here soon because I respect your time. I don't want to keep you longer than I need to. But Sam Altman in 2020, there's a video that's going around and his predictions with artificial intelligence in 10 years. So we're 5 years into that. into that prediction. And he talks about how the question that was asked to him was about how does artificial intelligence affect geopolitical discussion and just politics in general. And Sam was like, his thing was like, I don't think that's the right question. I mean, technology in 10 years from now is like, if you're asking about geopolitics, like, how is this going to affect the world? Are right now we have humans, and I mean, this is how it's been throughout all generations of time. Is there are humans who want power, who start wars over land, who start wars over power, who fight for no reason, and uh that's all, like, when we have a universal artificial intelligence, a lot of that's going to end simply because I think that there will be a central universal intelligence that will be able to read through these things, and propaganda and stuff like that won't be as effective anymore because we'll have, Big Brother, which is a little bit scary, monitoring things and basically just saying, "Hey, this is what's happening," in hopefully a more grounded and factual based type of a manner. And I think the world will come together in that because people will just be like, "We want to stop war." Uh, but on top of that, I think that there's a case to be made that there could be a universal basic income that everybody just gets, and and that's a little bit nerve-wracking, that's a little scary, but it also is kinda cool just to be able to think like, "Okay, everybody is going to have the same potential." I'm a capitalist at heart, right? I enjoy building businesses, I enjoy the, opportunities that I get from making a good income and building wealth, but I also am like, "Man, I want that same opportunity for everybody." And so if there is a universal basic income that basically, hey, the world is now taken care of, at least fundamental needs, that's a good thing. I
Well, here's what's
truly
going to
in my
happen
heart
in your
believe that's a
case.
good thing. Yeah,
Because you're an entrepreneur, as soon as universal basic income comes out, people are still going to have money management problems. So unless
100%.
that also gets fixed, then as an entrepreneur, you're going to be able to, you're going to be able to capitalize on people getting universal basic income,
Yeah.
because some people will look at that as an addition in terms of, like, I got this on top of whatever it is that I make. So all my stuff is taken care of. So now I have more money to spend. So because of that, I think it'll help, economies around the world, because then people have more money to spend. And then for people like yourself that are like, okay, I got these businesses that I can create around this, then I think that you're going to, it's going to be a great opportunity for people that are like, okay, there's all this universal basic income and I know people are going to be spending some of it. So, let's be a place where
Figure out
that can
ways to
happen.
figure out
Yeah,
ways to get it
right.
to flow to me. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's good, man. Well, Nick, I appreciate you spending your time with me and going through some of this stuff. I think that there's a lot of deep conversations to be had and a lot of cool things coming down the pipeline. I'm glad you're taking advantage of it. Thanks so much for sharing your some of the things you're working on. Where can people find you? How can they connect with you?
Just go to nickniman.com. All roads lead to Rome from there, or you can look for me on YouTube. That's where I spend, most of my, time, so to speak. And Scott, thanks for having me on, dude. Appreciate it. Always great conversation. And yeah, just nickniman.com.
Awesome. All right, you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much, and take care.